Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of 2 minutes from B-tier Dodgers managed to regroup and hold the peat moss bog of Weaver's Fen. KOTT news crews were experiencing technical difficulties awaking from sleep mode, but Dodgers leadership assured me they were still ransacking the region. In lighter news, the Brimstone Theater will be hosting famed lyrical satirist Bob Ross tonight at 9 p.m. server. Tickets still available at the box office. Turning to the weather, and it looks like a busy night for everyone after an afternoon full of sunshine and cyclops because it looks like corruption invasion forces will rise up to exploit their triple declare strategies across 40% of the island. 5 roster submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Additional consideration provided by the Illustrious card. With Illustrious membership comes illustrious perks, like premium upgrades to seats at the Brimstone Theater, or a private spa day at the bathhouse thanks to the Brimstone Association of Tourism and Hospitality. Are you a frequent user of the mass transportation systems like me? I don't worry about not having exact fare with the Illustrious card. The Illustrious card can even grant you direct access to regional leaders of the island, schedule permitting. In Ebonscale, the Illustrious card will grant you VIP access at the inn, and unlimited complimentary items from food carts. And coming soon, access to the Ebonscale Tourism Council Illustrious VIP Lounge. Are you having zoning problems? So was I until my Illustrious perks fast-tracked construction permits. And best of all, the Illustrious card is available to everyone who has completed Eternum's Illustrious Reputation Challenge. The Illustrious card wants to know, are you illustrious? First up, the Covenant forces of Coconut Wireless attack the Syndicate members of GloboGem for control of the Northern Forward Observation Post of Morningdale. Rumor no more, the forces of Coconut make their appearance in the official historical archives by slowly ascending into the mountains, preparing for their fight. The Serpents of GloboGem have held the hot tub for over a month, and they have no intentions of giving up the abundance of fresh rainwater, hunting, and general harvesting goods in the mountain. Then, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the Syndicate members of Strawberry for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. They say the 4th time's the charm, and running on faith that that's true, Outcast forces return to the bluff and set up their assault camp for another crack at the crown. Strawberry forces divided tonight between 2 simultaneous fights, but they appear to be keeping their final roster submissions close to the vest, awaiting the 15-minute notice. Meanwhile, the Marauders of 2 minutes from B-tier Dodgers assault the vault of JDB's kitchen, attempting to break into the island's financial capital of Windsward. Anxious to unleash the frustrations of their near defense 2 nights ago, Dodgers forces make a big play on securing additional funding in order to preserve and expand their roster. The kitchen staff of JDBs are also divided in their defense tonight, but so is one of their opponents. With all the potential lineup strategies, it's hard to predict how the fights will even start. Simultaneously, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assail the Syndicate members of JDB's kitchen for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Outcast forces executing their right to rematch against the Great House which unsat them. But with everyone's forces divided tonight, where will they get the numbers? For JDB's kitchen, they've shown that they can indeed hold 2 regions simultaneously. There's little need for additional strategy. They'll simply do what they can to hold 2 again. As all that is happening, the Marauders of Cypher Security attack the Syndicate members of Strawberry for control of the medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale Reach. Taking advantage of all the attention focused on known opponents, the hackers of Cypher Security attempt to capture the resort destination town. Strawberry forces have also shown that they can defend 2 regions simultaneously, but how long will they enjoy this new level of combat difficulty? We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of outcasts secure the master fishing port town of Reekwater. KOTT News were occupied on the battlefield in Monarch's Bluff, but have been given assurances that Panda was bis. A nail-biter in Morningdale, but KOTT News were able to speak with a Globo-Gym alteration specialist about the fight. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, once again retaining the forward observation post. 2 strong pushes onto flag, but you pushed them strongly back. How did you see it going down out there?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It was a little scary, at first, especially on that point phase. But during the pushes on the flag and stuff, I think that it was pretty easy to tell that they were a little thinned out. It wasn't really like we were definitely playing around the point pretty well. It was like, yeah, it was a couple good pushes, but you could tell at the end of the day they didn't have that big chunk and that big that big set that could really tick that flag and make it go further. So I was pretty confident, and I was confident with my boys. The squad really held it down tonight.
Oh, excellent. Anybody in particular who might have stood out in your eyes tonight?
Look, everybody stood out tonight, man. It was like, look, I'll be honest. It was literally my first time shot, like a real shot call, real shot calling for the first time in a while. So, there was a little bit of those nerves, right? But it's cool to see that my team believed in me. It's cool to see that, the whole roster was, didn't kind of take it as like, maybe this guy's just a shoutcaster. Like, no, you can tell that they were really believing in what I was saying, and they played the respawns really well with me, and yeah, it was a good time, man.
Oh, man, that sounds perfect. I'm glad you had a good outcome tonight. I did want to say, do you have any expectations that Coconut Wireless, with a couple reps under their belts, will be able to come back stronger than before?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Coconut Wireless you could definitely tell they had a lot of strength. They had a lot of strength, and they looked really good. Also, somebody says shout out to the 51st man, our boy Keeks, for helping with the respawns and stuff. But yeah, you could tell they had a lot of strength in their roster, and I think that was very apparent. And obviously, and I even say this on my stream a lot in my cast, where at the end of the day, this is their debut war, right? So it's going to take them a couple reps before they get into form. But it was a great war overall, and I think they were fantastic. Definitely some things to work on the fort, but it's a bit of a defense meta right now, so it is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, really good times, and it was a lot of fun fighting him. It's really cool to see him back as well. I know the West really needs it.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to having more people come too. Well, Willie, thank you very much. Once again, if you'd care to let the citizens of Eternum know, where can they find you out there on YouTube and Twitch, I believe?
Hey, look, if you guys don't know your boy, I'm out here on Twitch. I stream on Twitch TV. It's your boy Willie, 2 eyes on Twitch. Your boy Willie with 2 eyes, man. If you guys happen to be catching me on YouTube, you can check out my YouTube as well. It's just your boy Willie with 2 eyes as well. So you can catch me out both there too. So, yep.
Despite the split decision, JDB's kitchen staff still had one big payout line in Windsward afterwards. KOTT News were able to speak with one of the kitchen staff about their win in Windsward. Split decision tonight here in Windsward and Reekwater. Unfortunate loss there as you committed the majority of your forces to the financial capital. Would you care to take us through either of those outcomes?
Yeah, so man over one of the points and took that right off the rip. And they were able to split us between A and B until we finally gave up B, and we held strong at the point for the majority of the war.
Well, was there anybody who stood out in their performance tonight at Windsward?
My boy Fruby, I saw him heal the last couple wars, and then I saw him pop off, go 22-0. So shout out Fruby, and shout out AB, our Guff, for keeping this company strong.
In lighter news, the Illustrious Card VIP exclusive presentation of Bob Ross in the Park was an outstanding evening of entertainment. Last night's invasion forces were able to put a dent in Restless Shore, but 2 stations have already been repaired by nightfall. Looking at the forecast for today, and the same day Doppler radar indicates another peaceful day of sunshine for that afternoon grind. But look out after nightfall if you're in Weaver's Fin as the corruption invasion forces rise up and make their move across the bog. 2 lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it is in LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, The Syndicate members of Soju Gang attack the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood. Soju Gang making an attempt to return to prominence. Currently unsheltered, this once great house equipped their Dr. Theophrastus bombastus brand bear repellent and attempt to clear out the woods. Outcast forces running on the momentum of their victory last night are amped to stand with the bears and defend the forest with the entire team available. Later, the Marauders of Bean and Rice assail the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. The forces of Bean and Rice are marching on an empty stomach, what with only one bean for all of them, and who knows if it's more than one grain of rice. But hungry folks can do crazy things. But if they're looking for a kitchen meal from the sous chefs of JDB, they've come to the wrong bistro. JDB aren't the type to let just anyone come in and take what's theirs. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Soju Gang successfully beat the Bears of Brightwood and re-secure the northern hamlet. KOTT News were on the scene with a participant that wanted to give a shout-out.
Definitely Smugglepus, because usually she would be on the roster, but today she was here with us as a cheerleader in the back end, and we couldn't have done it without her, for sure.
Looking at the weather for this evening, and once the sun completes another revolution around Eternum, citizens should be on the lookout for a 30% chance of corruption invasion along the coastal regions. 4 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Unethical assail the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. An unknown group of Marauders attempt to plunder the Cape of First Light, but will Outcast forces have time to cast them out before getting involved in 2 offenses? Outcast forces involved in all sorts of conflict tonight, starting the evening with a full roster available for the defense of the spice fields. But will their long night bring about fatigue? Then, the Marauders of 2 minutes from B-tier Dodgers attack the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. A lot of double declares tonight, including both participants of this battle, but the Dodgers forces have the luxury of running one each way as they execute their right to rematch here in the deserts. So they have their full offensive forces available. For the kitchen staff of JDB, their attention may be divided as they respond on 2 fronts. But they've shown they can do it before. Will they show up to do it again? Meanwhile, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the vault of JDB's Kitchen in their attempt to steal away the island's financial capital of Windsward. Outcast forces making the unusual double offensive again tonight. This double bluff worked to secure land last time, but will anyone show up at all to fight tonight? Because this is the second of 2 defenses for JDB as well. And though it's possible rosters will be light, it's also possible that they could both be stacked. Simultaneously, the same Covenant forces of Outcasts will assail the Marauders of 2 minutes from B-tier Dodgers for control of the always contentious Restless Shore. As the night winds down for Outcasts, they'll need to make sure their team is ready for their 3rd fight and 2nd offense of the night. But will all this action be too much, even for them? The 2 minutes from B-tier Dodgers will be fighting in back-to-back action, but at least they're on both sides of a conflict, so should have the personnel for full rosters. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Marauders of bottom of B-tier Dodgers managed to retake the desert of Brimstone Sands. KOTT News were on the scene to talk to the newly returned Nomads about their efforts. Congratulations on your victory here in Brimstone Sands, once again returning to the desert over a near record time. Would you care to take us through if anyone even showed up out there?
John, for starts, we didn't get stuck trying to cap Bonfire this time. John, not much to say. We were hoping for a fight, hoping they would try to defend both. But yeah, looking forward to running it back with them for sure.
Excellent. Would you care to inform me on who this distinguished general person is?
Yeah, John, this is actually our MVP of the War, Barnabas, over here. He was holding it down, keeping an eye on Brimstone while we were out and about on vacation. But, he made sure the spa was tip-top shape, etc.
Earlier in First Light, KOTT News spoke briefly with a Spice Lord about the outcome. Well, congratulations on your victory here in First Light, once again retaining the rights to process and harvest the hyssop. How do you feel the fight went out there tonight?
It was pretty hard, to be honest. Like, could have went either way, but we stuck it out. Our opponents were pretty formidable. So we had to clutch up.
Yep. Indeed, I saw they were able to get inside the fort. Was there anybody who really stood out in their efforts tonight?
Well, like, I was playing musket, and I turn to my right, and I see this guy Panda, and he, like, already has 15 stacks. Like, the war's only gone on for 5 minutes, and he has, like, 1,000,000 kills. I'm like, I play musket, like, mainly, he doesn't, and he's literally better than me. Like, he's the best pro on Earth, I swear. I don't know how he does it.
As the night unfolded, JDB's kitchen staff sent a representative to discuss their results. Congratulations on your victory here in Winsterward, holding them all for the entire 30 minutes. How do you feel it went out there tonight, my friend?
Went good, John. It was a competitive war, a lot of back and forth, and we came out on top.
Well, is there anybody out there who really stood out in their performance in your eyes?
It's always JDB for me. #1 head chef.
#1 head chef indeed. He knows what's going on. He can cook a mean cheeseburger, that's for sure. Now, tonight's action, there was a lot of simultaneous fights going on. I am aware that you had to yield Brimstone back to the Marauders. Do you have intentions to go back up there and try to take it yet again?
Yep, we'll see him in 2 days.
Quickly to the weather, and now that the Cyclops are gone, there's little to do but harvest material all afternoon. But be on the lookout after sunset, as a 20% chance of corruption invasion will rise up at the tips of the island. 3 more lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Getting things started, the syndicate members of Pharmaceuticals assail the Covenant forces of Outcast for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Former Great House Pharmaceuticals return to the scene in their attempt to secure a region once more. But will they get the support of the Reekwater Union of Fishermen? Outcast forces have been taxing the shrimping and crabbing captains at 100% for reasons unknown. But if they can't be dislodged from leadership, the brutal conditions will persist. Then, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assault the Marauders of bottom of B-tier Dodgers for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Another former Great House making an effort to return to prominence tonight as Error.pxp set their goal to the waypoint in the peat moss bog. But will they overcome the ever-improving Dodgers? With only one fight to focus on tonight, the now bottom of B-tier Dodgers will be able to fully commit their best available members, who have been practicing choke management for 3 straight nights. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Black Wolves Company challenge the champs of Strawberry for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. Nothing is known about this upstart challenger to the belt, but if they're here for another light sparring match for the champs, they'll be handing them their 12th straight hold. As the champs approach the Neverfall record, they're sure to want a sincere opponent rather than another sparring partner. So if you're not serious about proving yourself, They'd rather you not even try. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all three great houses managed to hold out to defend their respective regions. KOTT News were able to speak with an Outcast representative after their victory in Reekwater. I appreciate you stopping and giving me a second. Congratulations on your victory out there. I noticed it was a 50-50 for most of the fight on the outside. How did you feel it went down?
I think it went pretty well. It was a good fight from Pharmaceuticals, always is. But I think we did a good job outside on points, which was nice to see.
Indeed. Anybody stand out there tonight?
Captain Rogers had some good calls. We had some really good plays from our kill squad. I really like the aggression from the Bruisers. It was just I think it was a really solid team effort all around. We tried not to be pussies on the mage side either, so that kind of helped out as well.
Indeed. Do you have any ambitions going forward to fill the gap between now and the next bit of content that comes out of AGS?
We're bringing war to everyone, John. You know how we do it. We're going to push everything. We're going to fight everybody. We're going to do it the smartest way possible.
Later in Weaver's Fen, we met up with Dodgers leadership, who were gazing over the Peat Moss Bog. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver's Fen, once again retaining the rights to the oil field we are staring at today. How do you feel it went tonight?
John, we threw A, we threw C, and we just 50v50'd on B for another 25 minutes. Yeah, that was pretty much the most exciting part of the war.
Indeed. Was there anybody who entertained you for the duration of the fight tonight?
John, really just running the main ball around to whichever side they decided to spawn on. That was entertainment enough.
Well, do you have any ambitions to keep yourself going through the lull until the next set of content comes out from AGS?
John, rumor has it all the bruisers in the company are going to just salvage their gear.
Just going to run around naked and see what happens? I suggest that you wait until the actual patch comes out and see what happens.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, we're never going to salvage our gear, because 6 months later, they're going to make Shirking Fort Biss again.
Turning to the weather, and today looks like the sun will be peeking through a couple of wispy clouds as the sounds of baseballs smacking leather echo across the valley. But they'll be wrapping up before the evening storms rise up across 30% of the island. 2 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the Syndicate members of Globogem for control of the forward observation post of Morningdale. Outcasts have been experimenting with the limits of their abilities the last few days, but tonight they are focused exclusively on one fight, and with a full night's rest. The personal alteration specialists of Globogem have been undergoing extensive training in the torrential rainfalls of the northern mountains. Tonight, they'll showcase the results of their raindrop dodging techniques. Then, the Marauders of Bottom of B-tier Dodgers attack the Syndicate members of Strawberry for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Dodgers forces on the offensive tonight after facing a full fighting force in Weaver's Fen last night. But that outer 50-50 gave them just the warm-up they needed to attack Strawberry tonight. Strawberry's sparring match last night in Everfall was a little less than a sweatbreaker, but that light road work may have been just enough to get them ready for a serious fight with the Dodgers. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Covenant forces of Outcasts conquer their holy land abutting the Northern Death Wall in Morningdale. KOTT news crews were on the scene and spoke with one of the fanatical about their devout belief. Great fight tonight. You know, you almost had it. You had about a 95% ticker, and then you came back, and then, of course, here we are. You did take it. The story tonight seems to be A-Gate. Would you care to take us through your critical moments of the fight?
Yeah, John. Actually, it was my first attack ever to shot call. I was shot calling the war tonight and devised a strat and executed it perfectly. Outcasts are getting stronger and stronger every war, and we're actually really excited to be here. And I just want to shout out Panda, just absolute #1, and day in and day out.
Yeah, if there's one thing the Outcasts are zealots about, they are zealot about their faith in Panda Uchiha. It is unshakable. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, are there any additional ambitions for Outcasts here during this lull leading up to the next spring event?
No, I think we're just, getting everything in order, and I think we're here to stay. We're supporting Yellow Side, and we'll continue the spark, John. We're gonna keep it bright, and just spreading out through all of a tournament.
After their victory in Monarch's Bluff, the Syndicate members of Strawberry immediately withdrew to Everfall in order to pay out their forces, go over their VODs, and continue to prepare for their ongoing Neverfall stretch. The entire team are sleeping at the team facilities, and many of them have executed self-imposed curfews. Once more, we turn to the weather to review the afternoon plans for harvesting and preparing for the next spring event before the evening's brisk air brings out the night's invasion forces across 30% of the island. 2 lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant forces of Coconut Wireless assault the Syndicate members of Soju Gang for control of the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood. It's the second attempt for Coconut Wireless to get their first great house on the island. But will they have better success against the Brightwood Bear Brigades? Soju Gang recently getting settled into the duties of defending the northern woods from forward corruption invasion. But they'll be ready to knock coconuts tonight. Then, the Marauders of Emotional Damage assail the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. The knockoff presidents of Beijing Corn come out to the Keys to maul out at the mosh pit. But will they be able to overcome the kitchen staff of JDB? The culinary professionals of JDB have been hosting several large party reservations lately, so surely a single night service of Crocodile can be accommodated. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
Emotional, damn it!
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Coconut Wireless convert the citizenry of Brightwood to the way of the Spark. KOTT News were immediately on the scene and were able to speak with the company cleric about the skirmish. Congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood, making it over in about 10 minutes flat. How do you think it went out there for you tonight?
On a wide scale, it went pretty well. Company-wide, our whole roster did pretty well. I'm proud to say it was about 48, 49 company members, so that's always a feel-good story. Me personally just trying to shake off the rest, so, it was all right.
All right, well, second fight back, and you got a victory, so that's a good start. Was there anybody out there who was really standing out in their performance tonight?
I think you got to start from the top there. On Ice was a really, or I guess On Fire, his character name is. Really good shot caller. We came equipped with a good plan. And I think, all around the roster, you can pick out a few different names that just always perform. And if you look at the leaderboards like today, they're just performing again. So consistency pays off.
Later in Cutlass Keys, Coach Domepiece stopped to give a couple words about the spring tryouts. Congratulations on your victory here in Cutlass Keys. Once again, the Crocodiles are in charge. How do you feel it went out there?
Just business as usual. Giving some new people some practice. Oh, it went well.
New people getting some practice. Excellent. Any of the freshmen getting some reps, huh? Anybody stand out there?
We gotta review some VODs, but yeah, there was some good work out there.
Turning to the weather, and once more the sun will carry on, making for a peaceful day of gathering material all afternoon. Then be on the lookout in the evening, as a 30% chance of corruption invasion will rise up across the island. 3 more lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard! First up, the Marauders of Unethical assail the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. Unethical forces return to the Hyssop and Spice production facilities to try again after being rebuked earlier in the week. But have they adapted to overcome? The Zealots of Outcasts believe it is their divine right to control the luxuries of the island. But will their faith in the spark be enough to hold off the plunderers? Later, the Syndicate members of Pharmaceuticals assault the Marauders of Bottom of B-tier Dodgers for control of the always uncontrollable Restless Shore. Pharmaceutical forces executing their right to rematch against the Dodgers forces that knocked them off the mud hill last week. They're standing ready at the bottom of the hill, waiting for tonight's battle horns. At the top of the hill, Dodgers forces await in the salty sea mist of the breaking waves constantly spraying over the muddy battlefield, stoically standing by, staring down at the enemy before them. Meanwhile, the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen attack the Marauders of Bottom of B-tier Dodgers for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. Turnabout is fair play, as the kitchen staff of JDB's Kitchen served the cold dish of revenge upon the surely suspecting it was coming forces of Dodgers with tonight's Double Declare. It's time for a real test, as the Bottom of B-tier Dodgers stand their ground on 2 defensive fronts tonight. But will they hold the choke and advance to B+ tier? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.